So what I'm planning on doing is doing an Ask Ed. Oh, this is a dead end. I'm doing an Ask Ed hashtag so that you can like start your question with it at the bottom in the comment section. That's where I'm going with these kind of videos. As many of you know, this is my off season now, so like I'm gonna walk in. So this episode is gonna be like a Ask Ed exercise walk special. This is my exercise for the day, so you're coming with me for this. So being that a lot of YouTubers have been, a lot of cycling YouTubers recently have been putting out there what their winter training is going to be, or what they're going to do in the next few months, I thought I'd jump on that bandwagon. I mean, why not? Why not put in my 50p's worth? So the period that I'm in right now, we're going to call this off season. What happens in the off season is you eat what you want, you do what you want, you pretty much have a really good time of downtime. In the middle you have this kind of transition phase, right? So after 2 or 3 weeks of either not riding the bike or running or going to the gym or doing something aside from the bike, the transition phase is where you start to build in gentle riding. So I don't mean you just go flat out as soon as you get back on the bike, because initially that's what you feel like you have to do. Your body is struggling to get back into the adaptations of riding again. After that transition phase, which probably takes around, I'd say a week, 2 weeks, of maybe 3 rides, 4 rides a week, nothing too serious, then you can start to include your build. So after the off season, then the transition, what comes after that? What comes after that is your building blocks for the rest of the year. So after your transition, then you can start really putting in the work. And you know, I could get into, you know, the ins and outs of it, talking about base foundation training, where zone 3 comes into all of that, when do you start threshold intervals, but that would take up a lot of this video. I've just taken a cracking picture. Check this out. So let me be real with you here, because let's be honest, I always am. You know, winter training isn't just like, winter training is not just about doing long base miles. You know, the days when that was the truth are long gone, and what's really working now for a lot of pros is called reverse periodization. And what reverse periodization is, you basically, instead of doing your base miles in the winter, you do your hard yards, and then you do your base miles in the summer. Now for pros, I'm gonna say this works, because, you know, in my humble opinion, you know, obviously the weather's filthy in the winter. Instead of going out in the morning, you can go out in the evening and miss the brunt of the weather for the day, and you can do 2 hours of hard VO2 max efforts, whatever. This also suits the average cyclist who enjoys smashing himself. This suits them as well, because they work and then they can train like that either to or from work. You know, they can do some proper hard intervals. And then when the summer comes around, you can do long rides, and you can do, you know, really quite tough long rides, and it's nice. You know, the weather is generally nice enough to do it. Now for pros, when you're racing, you know, every weekend, here's a little thing I picked up on. It's very hard to do interval training in between races. So it's really hard to, you know, if you're racing every weekend, and sometimes it can be, you know, Saturday and a Sunday, trying to do intervals then on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, for example, is nigh on impossible. I mean, you can do it, but that's where a coach comes in, because he can pretty much schedule everything and tell you exactly what to do, and you can manage your fatigue spot on. But if you're doing it yourself, it's really hard. But if you're doing longer rides, so if you're doing, you know, maybe 3 3-hour rides, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the fatigue isn't as bad as if you were doing the interval training, because it's a different kind of fatigue. You know, you can race through the endurance fatigue of 3-hour rides during the week, but it's really hard to race through, you know, interval training during the week, because the build-up of fatigue is very different. It's a very different sapping. It's very hard to explain, actually. Caution on this though, guys, because Cycling Cam made a little video the other day talking about his winter training. Turn this way because the sun is in the wrong place. Oh my word, that is so bright. And he pretty much said that you know, you need that base foundation to build on. Now, to a certain extent, that is correct. But if you're a junior cyclist, or if you're a seasoned rider, so if you've been riding, you know, maybe 100 miles a week, maybe, or if you ride back and forth to work every day, or if you know, you've been riding for a good few years now, you can skip that bit because your base is there. You know, you've been riding for years and years and years, and to a certain extent that's the same for us. You know, we have this this backup in the cloud for us to always go back to. You know, I'll get back on the bike now, you know, in 2 weeks time maybe, and I'll feel sluggish at first, but then I'll come around really quickly, and that would be the same for a lot of people. I really feel like I've been rambling in this video, so I'm going to try and wrap it up in some very, very simple advice for you. Watch Cycling Cam's video. That's going to be my first piece of advice. Write a comment to this video. That's going to be my second piece of advice. I'm going to make special effort to answer your comment in the comment section. But let's just say, watch his video.